So we have the last two questions right here. This one follows up to the honcho like hoodlum question. So in that same situation, or even within that same theme, do you feel that media platforms should interview certain people that were exposed for certain things? So, like having someone who has been known as like a rat or a federal informant, or having someone who was like a known rapist or an abuser, or someone who's like a racist in that sense, like would like media platforms be comfortable in like having them, or like even in you, like would you feel comfortable in having them like on your platform to discuss certain situations? Or
That's a great question, man. I think that it depends on what you want for your platform. Like there's a channel you probably seen, Soft White Underbelly. They interview, it's one guy and he interviews literally like the like kind of the lowest of the low, like pimps, prostitutes, drug addicts, rape, all the people you listed. And I've watched some of it and it's wild because it's just like, it's not really a judging them. It's not really talk about what you did. It's just like talk about your life story. And I think from someone that just is down to learn, you can learn from anybody. You can learn from mistakes other people made. So I don't think you should censor everybody. That also doesn't mean everyone needs to interview them. Like I probably would have to draw the line with certain situations. I haven't had to deal with that at this point, but I'd probably draw the line somewhere, but I can't hate someone else for wanting to interview like a serial killer. Like I get how that a really interesting conversation can come from that, So it's more about I guess what you're comfortable doing, but I don't believe in censorship, bro. Like if two people are willing to consent and have a conversation and film it and put it out, like to me that's all you need. It doesn't society can't judge who can talk and who can't,
yeah, most definitely. I had this like very last question, but I feel like I always like make like a lot of like free ball questions too in that sense too. So with the pandemic, from the start of like 2020 until now, it has created like a lot of like dope content and a lot of like dope personalities. Soft White Underbelly got like sort of like famous from that time too. People were cooped in the house. They were watching all this content too. With the likes of like Crip Mac and like the Blue Girls Club. I don't know if you watched that show called like Blue Girls Club or Blueface.
Yeah.
And even like Fresh and Fit too, and Kevin Samuels. Like they all blew up. Like orthodox in an in an unorthodox manner. Within the pandemic, it's not something that was supposed to happen, but it happened too. So, do you feel like the pandemic brought the best out of people, like in that sense too? Like I don't know how you feel about like all these like other things like right now too.
I saw that during that time period, it brought out the worst in some people for sure. And it's not the pandemic's fault. Those people also had that in them before. It just elevated. Then I saw, and I'm going to include myself in that category, like people that had potential and maybe now literally because there's nothing left to do, let's just focus on this shit. So I think it was an ultimate blessing and a curse for those guys. Like I'm not a huge fan of anyone that you name, but I've definitely touched base with all of them. I watched a couple episodes of each and I fuck with that. Like when there's people that are independently putting out their own content, all of those guys you named are not like corporate entities by any means, They just found a lane for themselves. I love to see that. So I think it did bring out a lot of creativity for some people, and it also put a lot of people in an even worse place because they're just like, oh, everything's shit and I'm never gonna do shit,
Yeah, no, most definitely. I mean, it had created like many like great personalities too in that sense, but then I don't think everyone wanted to watch like TikTok and like see
fuck no. Fuck no. I've always been a long form fan. Like even like it's very rare for me to watch like 4 or 5 TV shows in a day, but I'll watch like a 2-hour podcast and shit, like, and I've always just been a fan of that like personal conversation. The viral shit is not really and I'll still watch some. I'll go on TikTok here and there and shit, but it's not like what keeps me interested at all.
Stuff. So like even in that sense too, do you even feel like YouTube is like has improved like right now even with the platform? You know, aside from the censorship, you know, not seeing like certain content, old content being removed and all that. Do you feel like right now it's at a good place as it was back then before in that sense?
That's a great question. I don't know. Like, I love YouTube. Like, YouTube is the thing that I probably like. If I had to, if they started charging, like, all right, I gotta pay because YouTube's literally a part of my everyday. I do think that some of the shit they've done with censorship is terrible. Like the Nelk interview being taken down, the Trump one was bullshit. Like, I don't agree. I don't agree with censorship. Like, unless it contains like criminal aspects, like literally shit that is illegal, okay. But if it's just a conversation, I think it's terrible to take that shit down. So I don't like where it is, but then there are, like you said, there's a ton of great creators, and YouTube is still the best platform for videos. Like, there's nothing else that's comparing. You can't say anything else is better than YouTube.
I think for me, in my opinion, I do feel like YouTube has stepped up like a lot, even aside from like all the censorship too. Like, I think more people are likely to go on YouTube than anything like anywhere else, you know, because I feel like it is like more genuine. Like, it still follows within the same practice. It's free and all that. You know, you could watch all this dope content. Like, no one wants to watch something that's like sort of like manufactured in that sense too. So that's kind of like why like Netflix is at a bad point right now. Amazon, even though it's like sort of good, like I don't think people care about Amazon like, you know, Plus as much.
No, it's not a part of like culture like YouTube is. YouTube is culture, you know. I agree. No, I mean, I use YouTube every fucking day, bro.
Because, you know, like, you could still watch, like, Vlad TV, like, No Jumper, everything else, too. No one wants to pay, like, $4.99 for, like, a Patreon subscription or, you know, even, like, with OnlyFans or Netflix or all that.
I hate the subscription-based shit right now. It's getting out of hand. Like, the streaming services, there's so many now. Like, you don't even know what's on what. Honestly, I hope that's not the direction we continue to go in, like just subscribing to individual channels. Fuck.
Yeah, most definitely, man. And, you know, even like, I know even before we go right now, like, I know that you said like Maxby is like one of your like favorite artists right now, like Lil Peep, Lil Tracy, Jeezy, like I could see from the photos, Kanye, like they're also like very dope too, but like who are also like some like favorite like musicians at the moment, like either like Toronto wise or even like.
Man, that's a good question. I want to talk about like there's a whole other side of music taste that I have, like in the rock side. Like growing up, I still listen to a lot of that shit. Bruce Springsteen, Neil Young, the Ramones, a lot of the early 2000s shit, like the Blink-182, like all that stuff. That's a huge part of my life. Thin Lizzy, Jimi Hendrix, like I love that type of shit. So I still listen to a lot of that. Rappers, definitely Smiley. I'm a huge fan, man. Casper for sure. Chief Keef, one of my favorites ever. Riff Raff, huge Riff Raff fan. Right now, there's not a huge amount of new shit I've been listening to. I'm trying to think. There's not too much, but there's a lot of talent, bro. Everyone that I've interviewed for sure is actually really fire. Shout out a lot of people, man. I could be here all day, but those are the main ones that I named there.
Definitely. So, what's next for you in terms of like other podcasts or, you know, any other potential like podcasts, other creative projects, and so forth? I know that you have a Bankroll Brad podcast episode coming up too, and
Shout out
I
Bankroll
think
Brad.
Yeah, I think like some other ones too. I can't remember right now. I think that was like the only one that I've seen so far. But do you have any that are coming up soon?
Yeah, man, I've got some good ones coming out this year. Like at the end of last year was when like the Capital T Films, M-Works, all those other guys started like getting some traction. So this year was for me just focusing on consistent content, consistent interviews. So this year I don't know if it'll be a lot of flashy shit. Like last year I did like a video for a commercial fashion shoot. Like I don't know about shit like that this year. You never know. The main stuff I want to do is just cement the interviews. Like, bro, be a factor in the fucking Toronto scene at least, you know?
Definitely. And do you have any like final words you'd like to say for any person out there like pursuing their dreams?
Honestly, bro, I'm still doing it. Like, you know, I'm still working. Like, I don't feel fucking nearly satisfied. But one thing I will say is just, yo, if you want to try it, try it. Literally, like, don't worry about what people think. The only way to move forward is to be uncomfortable sometimes, you know, and some people are actually gonna really like that shit and some people aren't, and you gotta be cool with that, you know. You can't be thinking someone has to fuck with you for you to do it. Nah, you gotta do it because you want to do it. Try it, put yourself out there. Don't be afraid to look stupid, you know. Do your thing, try it, and if you want to try it, just fucking do it, bro.
Definitely, man. Young Vince, also known as like Uncle Vinny of the Versatile Vigilante Podcast.
Gang, gang.
You know, thank you for coming by, man. You know, even like at the same location too from the podcast. You know, like it was a pleasure, like sharing your story, sharing your journeys, sharing like everything else too, like thoughts on like mainstream culture, thoughts on like the whole like interview aspect too, like how you started out. You know, getting into it, all of it. You know, I do feel like this was like a legendary like one in the books too, you know, like, you know, even like more so as I said like in the Yuso interview, it feels like more like a conversation right now, you know, just even like sharing all these like interesting like aspects in your life, you know, with the photos, with all the other content like right now. And you know, I really enjoyed like this conversation in that sense too, and just like even like sharing your thoughts and your perspectives in that sense, you know.
Appreciate it, bro. No, I had a great time, and I'm a fan of your work, your style. It's dope that people in the city are doing similar things, but all have our own kind of spin on it. I think it's really cool, bro. Huge supporter of yours as well. And fuck, man, this was a dope conversation. I had a great time.
Yeah, man, most definitely. You know, I wish nothing but the best for you in that sense too. Like,
thank you,
hopefully I'll enjoy like that Bankroll Bride interview in that sense too. Like, there's like a lot of other podcasts I still have to watch too in that sense, but hopefully like a lot of them like will be dope too. You know, if you want to like share your socials for a bit, just let them know, you know.
Respects, yeah. At Versatile Vigilante, you'll find me anywhere: YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram, Spotify. No Twitter, but everything else at Versatile Vigilante. Not hard to find, man. We're out here.
Yeah, man. Most definitely. So, you know, as I said, I wish you nothing but the best, man, and you know, until next time, brother.
My guy, thank you.
All right, man. Peace.